I apologize in advance for the quality of some of the video and audio in this mini documentary. Budget constraints have forced me to compromise on equipment, software, and personnel. I attempted to contact all of the major networks in order to release this information to the public. Their absolute lack of interest convinced me of how important it was that the public be made aware of this information. You cannot make intelligent decisions on which products to buy if you don't understand the potential hazards involved with those products. With that aside, let us begin. Hello, my name is Emo Barry. The series of video clips you're about to see will attempt to explain how radio frequency energy in your environment may be affecting your body. The device I am holding is a cell sensor. It is not a scientific instrument, but it is a useful, but more importantly, affordable field strength meter, which is used to indicate the presence of radio frequency energy. The topic of cell phone radiation being the cause of some brain tumors is still being debated in some circles. If you believe everything that the government and industry says, then you have nothing to fear. So if you develop a brain tumor next to the air that you use your cell phone with, it is not due to cell phone radiation, but an act of God. If you don't believe anything that the government and industry says, then continue watching this video and decide for yourself on the evidence presented. What you will find is that cell phone radiation is only the tip of the iceberg. This is obviously a microwave oven. This device is a magnetron tube, the guts of the microwave oven. It works by applying a high voltage AC current to these terminals. The AC current stimulates the electrodes within the tube into generating microwave energy, which is emitted through this orifice, bounces around the metal walls of your oven, cooking your food. What most people don't realize is that all microwave ovens, to some degree, have radio frequency energy leakage, which can be detected with most field strength meters. This is a shortwave radio tuned to an unused frequency on the AM band. If you listen carefully in the next clip, you will hear the effect that the microwave oven has on shortwave radio reception. Microwave ovens can also be picked up as noise on the AM band. A simple way of testing for microwave oven leakage is to tune your radio in between two AM stations and walk it towards an operating microwave oven. The increase in sound level you experience will be a rough indication of how much leakage there is. And that's without the antenna extracted. This device is an oscilloscope, a scientific and engineering tool that I will be using to view what we are being exposed to. This is the output of your microwave oven as seen by your AM radio. Clearly it's a number of modulated envelopes of some type. Too complex a waveform for this scope to analyze.
The cell sensor is a crude but useful field strength meter. Notice how the flickering light and the needle movement increase in intensity as the cell sensor is brought closer to the cell phone. What is important to understand in the following video clips is how I am using a radio in order to detect radio frequency energy emitted by these devices. The FM or frequency modulated band can only detect changes in frequency in order to receive audio information which is impressed within the frequency bandwidth of any FM station. The image you see shows graphically what FM is. The AM or amplitude modulated band requires that the amplitude of any particular frequency be modulated in order for the audio information to be detected by the radio. The image you see shows what AM is. The device under test is generating radio frequency energy within a narrow bandwidth of frequencies, which is only detectable within the AM band if something changes its amplitude. When I touch the device, my body acts to modulate the energy radiating from the device, and this modulated radio frequency energy is what the radio detects. In effect, I am adding noise to the emissions, which looks like this image. The radio sounds like it is buzzing because my skin can only modulate the radio frequency being emitted by the device to within a very narrow audio bandwidth. It has a lot to do with capacitive reactance of the skin, which is way beyond the scope of this video. This next image shows what a modulated envelope looks like, which is exactly what most of these devices output.
Since the World Health Organization has categorized cell phone radiation emissions as a possible carcinogen, it has opened up a host of other devices as possible sources of cancer. These devices include microwave ovens, compact fluorescent light bulbs, optical scanners used at checkout counters, and flat screen televisions, to mention a few. These devices all emit radio frequency energy equal to the output of a cell phone, and in some cases much higher. Before I proceed to the main objective of this video, compact fluorescent light bulbs, I am going to look at the emissions of a toy familiar to most people, plasma globes. They operate on the same basic principle as compact fluorescent light bulbs. This is a shortwave radio tuned to a frequency in between two radio stations on the AM band. This is a plasma globe. Notice that as I turn on the plasma globe, the shortwave radio instantaneously picks up the transmission sent out by the plasma globe. Notice also that as I tap on the plasma globe, the radio frequency emissions are altered. Proof positive that plasma globes emit radio frequency energy. The next video clip involves the use of an oscilloscope, a scientific and engineering tool which allows you to view in real time electromagnetic waveforms which all electronic devices produce. What you see on the scope is the output of a plasma globe. It looks to be a modulated envelope. The voltage setting on the scope is 5 volts per division. The time base is set at 10 milliseconds. As I change from 10 milliseconds to 2 microseconds per division, you can see that one of the waveforms calculates to be about 12 microseconds in length, which translates to about 83 kilohertz. As you touch the plasma globe, you can see the waveform change. The image you see before you is of a plasma globe with an empty soda can placed on top of it. The objective of this next demonstration is to show that radio frequency energy can burn your skin. Fortunately for me, this is low voltage, low current radio frequency energy. If it were high energy in nature, as is produced by high powered transmitters, it would give me a severe burn or possibly even kill me.
The image on the left is a clean fingertip. The image in the center is that same fingertip burnt by radio frequency energy, and the image on the right is of the same fingertip but with some of the burnt skin washed off. The radio frequency energy penetrated deep enough as to prevent me from scrubbing the burnt skin completely off. As you can see, as I approach with the field strength meter,
Old-style fluorescent light bulbs have always had a problem with flickering, which many people link to migraine headaches. The compact fluorescent light bulb resolved this issue by increasing the frequency which stimulates the gas inside the bulb. Unfortunately, this increase in frequency is directly related to the radio frequency emissions of compact fluorescent light bulbs. This is a battery-powered shortwave radio, tuned to a frequency on the AM band. This is a compact fluorescent light bulb. Notice that as I touch the light bulb, the radio frequency emissions are picked up by the radio. Proof positive that compact fluorescent light bulbs emit radio frequency energy.
the reason for covering the lamp with a black plastic container is so that the camera can distinguish the flickering light of the field strength meter. The light flickers in conjunction with the field intensity, as you can see by the moving needle on the meter.
The passive antenna circuit that I am using picks up a broad spectrum of radio frequency energy. It is approximately 4 feet away from the lamp and uses no amplification of any sort. What you see on the oscilloscope is what you are being exposed to.
What we see here is the output of a large compact fluorescent light bulb, as seen on the oscilloscope. It looks to be a modulated envelope of some type. The voltage setting is 0.2 volts per division. The time base is 5 milliseconds. As I increase the time base to 5 microseconds, you can see a noisy waveform, which explains why it's a modulated envelope. The peak-to-peak time is 20 microseconds, which is equivalent to about 50,000 cycles per second.
Again, this is a battery-powered shortwave radio tuned to an unused frequency on the AM band. This is a 20-year-old compact fluorescent light bulb. Notice that as I touch the envelope of the light bulb, the radio frequency energy generated by the light bulb barely interferes with the radio. This is a brand new compact fluorescent light bulb. Notice that as I touch the envelope of the light bulb, the radio frequency energy generated by the light bulb instantaneously interferes with the radio. Proof that there is an important difference between the old and the new compact fluorescent light bulbs.
This is the 20-year-old bulb we just viewed in the last clip. Again, the black plastic jar is so that you can see the flickering light of the field strength meter and the needle on the meter itself.
What we see on the scope is the output of a 20-year-old compact fluorescent light bulb. It looks to be a modulated envelope of some type. The voltage setting on the scope is 0.5 volts per division. The time base is 5 milliseconds. As I go to 5 microseconds, you can see a peak-to-peak time of 25 microseconds, which is approximately 40 kilohertz. It's a little bit noisy, but not bad for an old bulb.
What's important to understand is that the compact fluorescent light bulb uses the same basic principles as the plasma globe. A high frequency, somewhat high voltage used to stimulate the gas to emit light. Again, battery operated shortwave radio tuned to an unused frequency on the AM band. Small compact fluorescent light bulb. Radio frequency energy. Medium-sized compact fluorescent light bulb. Radio frequency energy. Proof that no matter what the size, all compact fluorescent light bulbs emit some degree of radio frequency energy.
The image you see before you is of the two bulbs used in the last clip. The following two clips show the voltage drop across the antenna as seen on the oscilloscope of those same two bulbs.
What you see is the output of the small compact fluorescent light bulb. It looks to be a modulated envelope of some type. The voltage setting on the scope is 0.2 volts per division. Time base is 5 milliseconds. As I change that to 5 microseconds, you can see that from peak to peak it's a little over 15 microseconds, which is over 60 kilohertz. What you see on the oscilloscope is the output of the medium-sized compact fluorescent light bulb. Again, it's a modulated envelope of some type. Voltage is set on the scope at 0.2 volts per division. Time base is 5 milliseconds. Change that to 5 microseconds. You see a peak-to-peak of 15 microseconds, which is over 60 kilohertz.
What is interesting about this compact fluorescent bulb is that because it generates a pure sine wave and not a modulated envelope, it is very difficult to detect on the AM band, but you can detect it on the FM band, as I will demonstrate. The distance from the lamp doesn't matter. I could have this radio 10 feet away and it would react the same way, but that would not be practical for this demonstration.
What you see is the output of a 3-way compact fluorescent light bulb. What's interesting about this light bulb is that it is not a modulated envelope, but a pure sine wave, as you can see when I go from 5 milliseconds to 5 microseconds. It is 15 microseconds from peak to peak, which means that it is over 60 kilohertz.
All of the packages that these lamps came in had the appropriate warning information. They explained that they all comply with FCC regulations and they are not to be used next to electronic devices that operate between 450 kilohertz and 30 megahertz. Unfortunately, they never explained that the lamps actually emit radio frequency energy or how much energy. Since most people don't understand how this cell phone works, other than the fact that it's a fancy walkie-talkie, they can't be expected to understand the technology behind a compact fluorescent light bulb, other than the fact that they're expensive, they give off light, they save them money, and they save energy. Again, battery-powered shortwave radio tuned to to an unused frequency on the AM band. Modern day long fluorescent light bulb eliminates the flickering problem by increasing the frequency at which the gas is stimulated. Notice that as I turn on the light bulb, the radio instantaneously picks up the radio frequency emissions of the light bulb. Notice also that as I touch the envelope of the light bulb, the radio responds accordingly. Proof positive that modern day long fluorescent light bulbs emit radio frequency energy.
This is the output of a long modern fluorescent light bulb. The voltage setting on the scope is at 5 volts per division. The time base is set at 5 milliseconds. And as I go to 5 microseconds, you can see a nice waveform. The important thing about this is that the lamp is 4 feet away from the antenna, and there's a 5 volts per division reading on the scope.
The next scene takes place in a 50 by 50 foot room with multiple ceiling lights. It begins with 6 emergency lights that are always on. It proceeds by turning the rest of the lights on, whereby you can see their reflection in the glass screen of the oscilloscope as they are turned on, and the waveform changes simultaneously.
This is maybe 6 lamps on. Now to turn all the lamps on, what you see is multiple lamp outputs within a 50 by 50 square area. Voltage is at 0.5 volts per division, 5 milliseconds, switching to clearly there are multiple signals present.
Again, this is a shortwave radio tuned to a frequency in between 2 radio stations on the AM band. This is a super efficient LED lamp, very expensive. Yet, as you can see, as I touch the lamp, the shortwave radio picks up the interrupted transmissions sent out by the lamp. Proof positive that super LED lamps also emit radio frequency energy.
We are looking at the output of an ultra-efficient LED light bulb on the oscilloscope. As you can see, there is some type of modulated envelope. The voltage is set at 0.1 volts per division. The time base is 5 milliseconds. As I increase the time base from 5 milliseconds to 5 microseconds, that you can see that there are a number of waveforms present on the oscilloscope.
Again, shortwave radio tuned to an unused frequency on the AM band. Very old, compact, fluorescent light bulb. No radio frequency interference of any type.
What you see is an old dome-style compact fluorescent light bulb. It uses a transformer and not an electronic circuit, and as the cell sensor indicates, there is no measurable radio frequency energy.
This is the output of the round, old-style transformer light. It's right on the antenna. I got the scope set at 50 millivolts, 5 microseconds. This is an old-style fluorescent light bulb, and as you can see, the cell sensor indicates no radio frequency energy emissions.
If radio frequency energy is not harmful to body tissue, then why do doctors use low frequency, low voltage radio frequency energy to destroy heart tissue through the use of a radio frequency catheter in order to correct certain heart defects? I know this to be true because I worked on testing just such a device.
The efforts that I put into making this video would be in vain if I couldn't explain how you can verify this information for yourself. I would never expect anyone to believe anything I explain in the video because, after all, this is the 21st century where you can't believe anything anybody says anyway. It is very simple. You don't need to buy a field strength meter or any fancy equipment. All you need is an AM radio and a compact fluorescent light bulb. Obviously, having a compact fluorescent light bulb that emits a fair amount of radio frequency energy is best for proving this out. Most high wattage bulbs will suffice, but as you have seen in the video, some small bulbs emit more radio frequency energy than larger bulbs. Start at the low end of the AM band, about 530 kilohertz, and work your way towards the high end of the AM band. The closer the bulb is to the radio antenna, the louder the buzzing will be, and the easier it will be to find a sweet spot. Once you find a sweet spot between two radio station frequencies, where it is loud enough for your liking, move the bulb further away and touch the bulb to verify the experiment. Compact fluorescent light bulbs get very hot, so exercise caution. Now all you have to do is live with the knowledge that you are under constant bombardment of radio frequency energy in your own home. If you have a pocket radio, you can tune it to the right frequency on the AM band, walk it through your local grocery store, and see how much radio frequency energy you are being exposed to while you're shopping. you would be more interested in walking through the flat screen television section of your local department store. You'd be surprised to find out how much radio frequency energy you are being subjected to.
I'm just checking the TVs out.
By tuning my radio to an unused frequency on the AM band, you will see in the next scene how certain areas are saturated with radio frequency energy that has no information or entertainment content. As I drive down the road, you will hear a buzzing sound on the radio that increases and decreases in volume as I go through just such an area. Some would suggest that the buzzing sound is coming from the power lines to the right of the vehicle. But that would only make sense if the buzzing sound was continuous and occurred along all power lines, which it doesn't. In addition, the radio is not tuned to the frequency of the power that is carried along the power lines. The World Health Organization has classified cell phone radiation as a possible carcinogen because of the increase in brain cancers and tumors that people have had over the last 20 years. The evidence suggests that it is due to the increase in cell phone usage. They could not possibly be aware of all of the other radio frequency emissions of all of our other technological devices. For example, a woman operating a checkout at a grocery store could develop brain cancer or breast cancer because of the radio frequency emissions of the optical scanner she is operating 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. If she uses a cell phone, her condition may be attributed to the wrong source of radio frequency emissions. The research that is being done along the lines of the causes of these cancers may be skewed because job descriptions are not part of anybody's database.
If you work for the fast food industry, chances are you are in an intense radio frequency environment. In this video, you have seen that microwave ovens have leakage and compact fluorescent light bulbs emit radio frequency energy. In a fast food environment, you are using multiple industrial strength microwave ovens which are in a confined space and which probably have a proportionately higher amount of radio frequency leakage. In addition, the lights above your head are probably modern fluorescent light bulbs which produce a significant amount of radio frequency energy. The establishment is probably well lit, which means that there are multiple sources of radio frequency energy. The type of cancer you develop may be dependent upon the height of the microwave oven you are exposed to. Since there is no database correlating job descriptions to types of cancers, it is impossible to conclude that radio frequency energy causes cancer. But if such a database were generated, it would quickly correlate the information and we could find out once and for all whether radio frequency energy is or is not related to cancer. The World Health Organization has classified cell phone radiation as a possible carcinogen, but did not emphatically conclude that it was because there simply isn't enough research to indicate that it is. This is because they have not taken into consideration that there are many more sources of radio frequency energy that could be contributing to the development of cancers, and there is no database which would correlate the information.
The reason I created this video is to make people aware of what they are being exposed to without their knowledge or consent. If you fear cell phone radiation, then you may also have cause to fear the radio frequency emissions of modern day compact fluorescent lights.